Welcome back and welcome new viewers. This week I am making a little bit of a change up from the 1930s and going into the 1950s, where I believe it was just full of glamour with the women's clothes, as such as this one right here. And looking at this, I am pondering and thinking that this is something that I can definitely do. I did find a bolt of teal tulle, and I don't know, it's probably 40 or 60 yards of teal tulle. I might need to get some teal fabric, and I do have the rhinestones. I'll do that in a video coming up. But this is one dress that I would love to sew and do. I do need 50 subscribers to unlock the live stream privilege, and something that I would love to do. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and just do little bits and pieces. This is a beautiful pattern by McCall's, number 3399. And I love to see the little intricate facts over here. Back in the day, I got to experience this a few times in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. I would say late 80s, where I would buy this at my fabric store and they would stamp. And I guess it's so that you would not return it or that it was already purchased. I really don't know the reason or meaning behind that, but they don't do that anymore. You just buy the patterns now and take them. There's a lot of resale going on, which is fantastic for people like me to just go ahead, see it online, and buy the newer patterns of the day. So this is what a difference between these two. It is a very exact same pattern, but right here we have the beautiful prom style. I'm not sure if they use this style for the maid of honors back in that time. It could be, but this one right here, such a fabulous design, and it is fresh and airy, and it has the beautiful, I think they look like sunflowers, not sure, but it also has the little peekaboo opening here in the middle, and the strap over here, which they decorated with yellow. And of course, it just looks so glamorous and so beautiful. Open bare back, and that becomes a little bit of a synonymous with the 1950s. So let's say this is a 1950s pattern. Let's take a quick look at the back to see what it needs. And since I'm thinking of sewing this for you and the viewers, let's see, junior size and Mrs. size. Sorry for flipping it back and forth. I'm going to see. Okay, so this is a size 12, 30-inch bust. And I'm trying to see, along with you right now, how much, how many yards I'll need. So with, let me see, does it say the lining? And we get to see view A, which is the long style, view B, the short style. So for view A, the long one, we're going to need 8 1/4 all the way through from size 11 to size 25. And the reason why there's no difference is because number one, it's long, and number two, it's all gathered up in the waist. So that's the reason why we basically have the same, from 8 1/4 to 8 3/8. And for the short dress, we need 6 and yeah, 6, the same, almost the same exact. And I'm pulling it back because I can't see it too close up for me. So definitely the tulle is going to be enough. I'm going to need 8 yards to make this fantastic. This is going to be gorgeous, especially with the rhinestones. And to me, let's do a little not necessarily a game, but what does the 1950s make you think of or synonymous with? To me, I think of glamour, I think of prom, I think of cocktail parties, big jewelry, as we see right here. That is synonymous with the 1950s. And then after the glamour and the fun, I think of housewives, appliances, and girdles and lingerie. They had beautiful lingerie back in that time, didn't they? So let's put this back. I have one more treat, one more pattern, also by McCall, and we're looking more of a mod retro look. Isn't this a beautiful design? This is a beautiful sweetheart neckline, plunge back, not so much, and look at the pretty little detail. It has a nice, it looks like a double knotted bow. Not sure, I can't see it because it's black on black. And this is McCall's 1950s, probably early 60s, number 6876. And this is post-mod era for the women in a wiggle style dress and a tiny little belt. This is another style I would love to do. I have a huge inventory of tiny belts to make for ladies' dresses, probably in this size as well. This is a size 10. Again, another pattern I would love to do and reproduce or remake this dress of the era. And we're going to need 3.5 for a size 10. It's a 30-inch bust, is it? 31-inch bust. So I'm going to need anywhere from 34 to 36 for a small. So I don't think, I did have a 30-inch bust mannequin and I gave it to my niece, which is going to college for fashion. So here we are, two lovely dresses of the era. Let me know which one is your favorite. Which one would you like for me to do first? And hopefully by that time I manage to get, it's going to happen eventually. I just want it to be sooner than later to get my 50 subscribers. And this one doesn't have that much other than it's going to be interesting to do the neckline and the back. Very, very beautiful. I have the pattern inside here. The patterns of the, when did we start getting the pattern printed? So this is from the 1950s and 60s. So let's be safe to say they started to print the tissue paper back in the 1950s. And if you recall, the 1930 patterns, which were blue, these are slightly gray. It's not black. So the patterns of the 30s were blue. And we have darts on the waist. We have darts on the bust. And, you know, it definitely looks bigger than a 30-inch waist. But since I have two hands here, I will save this for later as I get closer to do this dress. I guess we're going to fold it back. And we have seen patterns from the 1940s, which are completely blank, and they have the new age little dots. They're blank, blank. Oops, I don't want to lose a pattern. They're blank tissue papers. You know, in the 1940s, I think that's kind of ironic. People in the 1940s were having a tough time as it is with what was going in the world, and then they have to do their patterns or their dresses or their items with little dots on them. So definitely they had the seamstresses and the tailors on their highest alert mode. That's for sure. This other one, bringing this one back. This one has boning, I think. And boning is like a wire that is a little bit covered. Some, I don't know if they did then, but it was all wire to keep form, like a corset. If you have seen a corset, lingerie corset, that heaviness in there would be it. So I'm taking a quick look-see in here if I see boning, but I believe it may need it. I do have some boning. It's not the hardest grade, because oh, it does right here. It looks like it right here that we have the boning need for this pattern. I could definitely do it without it, but it would be nice to include it. So there we have it. Let me know in the comments, what does the 1950s, what does that bring as a memory to you? Or what do you think the 1950s were like? I have here two distinct different patterns. I don't know which one would be my favorite. This one is just gorgeous because of the bling bling. Look at the earrings, how big they were. Almost looks like she has a little tiara there. And if I was there in the 1950s, I would wear a tiara. I would wear a little tiara. As a matter of fact, do I have one here? I had one here moving things around, but I do have some headbands with some rhinestones. So I'm going to bring them here so that you can see them in the short. Thank you so much for joining me in this week's Tuesday Time Bank with the 1950s. Do have more, but we'll see. What would you like to see for next week? Leave it in the comments. What era? 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or even 70s. 70s are so groovy. I do have patterns of the 80s, and I do believe of the 90s. So I'll be looking at the comments if there is some suggestions, and let me know in a word, what was the 1950s like for you, or what do you think they were like? We'll see you next week in the Tuesday Time Bank. Stay tuned for a couple of shorts, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's going to help my channel grow, and it's going to allow me to do more things such as sewing and sewing these beautiful patterns from the actual patterns of the day. We'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Bye.